Hear ye, come one, come all, niggas. Starface spaceship is landed. And with that being said, all aboard, niggas. Well, got a few things I want to talk about in regards to what I've been seeing on social media lately. I'm gonna get back to the whole creation of the earth thing. Close that out shortly. But got a few topics I want to speak on, man, that I've been seeing. I must say, this golden race ride shit, which I already knew, but it's starting to really manifest. And I'm starting to see a lot of young folks coming into the game, the conscious game. And they really going all out with it. You know, they doing their thing. Which is beautiful. But I've been seeing a couple of chinks in the armor, a couple of glitches that I want to speak on. Got my notes this time, so this should flow a little bit more cohesive than usual. Trying to be a little bit more organized with you niggas. Yeah, I guess I'll kick it off. Now, one thing I've been noticing as of late, you have a lot of people who I can tell are new or just coming into the quote-unquote conscious realm, and that's cool. And I want to give an example. One thing I've been seeing is I've been seeing people on their social media pages. You know, they talking about crystals. They talking about you know, they got all the jewels on and shit. They're talking about the ancestors and you know, they're really speaking in a conscious tone. But there's one thing that kind of throws me off. They speaking all this conscious information, and at the same time, they're still referring to this creator, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. You know, me being an investigator, a conscious investigator, you know, the first thing a nigga gonna say, oh shit, some agent shit going on. How you talking about the ancestors and channeling and all this, but then you still talking about the creator. So on one hand, I'm like, oh shit, maybe there's some agent shit. But one thing I kind of been on lately is flipping the coin or looking at things from a different angle, which I did in this case. So what I did here is I said, well, hold up. I can tell that these people are newly conscious because they still talking about this creator thing, which is leftover residue from that old time religion. Oscar my went off. That nigga Bobby. That's some shit that nigga Bobby was kicking it with his lecture. He's like, they were that old time religion. Oscar my went off. Pause. But brother, it's still a little residue left over from this these false Orthodox religions. So, on one hand, you're like, oh shit, maybe it's some Asian shit or whatever. Then I said, now hold up. Maybe, I said, we all going through a great awakening. I said, well, maybe, or what if what I'm witnessing is the actual morphing right before my eyes of people coming from out of religion into true consciousness. So, on one hand, you have, the conversation of ancestors and look at my stones, and all this good old stuff that goes on in true consciousness, channels and all that, people getting channels and stuff. But then I see a few people who's saying all that, but then still on this hand, they're still talking about this creator thing. So I said, well, what if this is a morphing? What if this is they slowly and gradually coming into the true consciousness, but they still have this thin thread tied to the old Orthodox religious mindset that they came from. And I said, you know what? That may be it. By John, y'all might have it. So I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, even if it was some Asian shit. Now, for one, let me make this clear. I don't want nobody to think, anybody that fits under this description of what I'm saying, I don't want you to think that I'm bashing you, I'm coming at you, I'm dissing you, or I'm trying to say you're an agent. Because at the end of the day, I see these things, I observe, I don't ask these people nothing, I don't even try to give them no advice outside of what I'm doing right now. Because I understand that everybody has their own path, and we all go through our own phases and our own we all go through our own path and all get to where we going in different ways. So but hypothetically speaking, even if it was an Asian thing, even the fact that they would have to have agents still trying to keep you locked in to this old creator thing, but they know it can't stand on its own, so they have to pair it with true conscious or true consciousness. The mere fact that they even would have to pair it like that indicates one thing, and that's them motherfuckers is in trouble. Which we already know that. That's, you can see this shit crumbling anyway. I like to call it the fake America, because the real America is the rise of niggas. The Amaraka. America comes from the word Amaraka, which means the great mother, the great earth, or whatever, or the great universe, or whatever you want to call it. So I try to, as opposed to saying fuck America and America's falling, because you're really cursing the great mother, really, when you say fuck America, because America is named after the great mother. So I just say that, this fake thing that this charades that they've been putting our faces falling apart. You can see that daily just watching the news and all the current events. But even if they had to do that, that's still an indication that they're fucked up. Who the quote-unquote draconian reptilians, as motherfuckers is calling them out there, which that's not who they are. I'm getting to that later too, you know what I'm saying? But these people or whatever, quote-unquote pseudo-elite or whatever. So I'm looking at this shit, I'm like, nah, I think this is a morphing going on right here. It's happening right before my eyes. And what you have is this, which is the which I probably should have had true consciousness on this hand, because this is the right hand. But who matters? It doesn't matter. But maybe this is the training wheels that they not ready to just let go yet. You know, that string is still attached in between the two. That they not at the point where they're ready to just let that go yet. I'm gonna try to help you with that. Now, we are the creators. I'm trying to break this down as clearly as I possibly can. This physical world, before it was physical, it existed as a spiritual world. And that spiritual energy, the oneness, we'll just say, for lack of a better way of putting it, was responsible for creating this physical world that we're in. But even when everything was spiritual, in the building process, just like when you build, just like when you see construction going on, there's always heads of the group. You have the builders, and you have the motherfucker that make the blueprint, the form, and all that shit, whatever. So even within that spiritual energy building this physical world, you had hierarchies of that. Human, quote unquote, human beings, the black man and the black woman, or the souls, the spiritual energy or souls of black people were at the head of that hierarchy. We was the top shotters, top dogs. And what happened was, we built the physical universe, built these physical bodies, and then as spirits, we ensouled them or went into this physical earth and into these physical bodies to live inside of them. So that same creative energy that was once all spiritual and then built this physical suit or cloak to put on, now exists here in the body of the black man and the black woman. Therefore, you are the creator. Now, I know we got the whole thing about the demiurge, and that's why the demiurge say that the Jehovah energy is demiurge energy. But you check that energy by being the Elohim. The Elohim is the soul part of you, or the spiritual part of you. And when you raise yourself to the Christhood, you make the demiurge energy, which is really nothing more now, it's just your ego. Even more so now, if you want to create something in this day and time, or create something, you picture it in your mind, and then you go to the ego part of yourself, which interacts with the rest of the world, your five senses and all that. You use that part of you to go. So say you want to build a house, you picture the way you want to see the house in your mind, and then you go out to the physical world around you, and you get all the resources you need. Wood, bricks, mortar, hammers, nails, shingles, and all these things. And you build this thing according to what you see in your mind. Or you build this house according to the way you see it in your mind. Why? Because that's just another way of showing you that the creator that you're talking about is you. There's nothing in the sky lording over you. There's no, that thing which you think is your God above you or whatever, is nothing more than your own spirit, your own soul, your higher self, or however you want to put it. So I said that to say I'm not bashing anybody. Like I said, because I'd rather see motherfuckers talking about this shit than to be like some people. I'd rather them be like this than to be like some people I still see talking about this goddamn Christian shit or whatever, Bible, these literal Bible thumpers. So Uh, I would just like to speak to that and say, you are the creator. There's not no God or no you. When you speak about your ancestors, those are the spiritual components, or the forces on the other side that are actually here to work with you on your behalf if you are a conscious being, if you are woke. That, it's not even the ancestors. When you read and study on the way that our ancestors see spirituality, they never spoke about this one great thing in the sky or whatever. They said, no, you have the quote unquote gods, or the elemental spirits, earth, wind, water, fire, and all the deities that you see in the pantheon of Egypt and all that, and all the other ancient civilizations. You have those which represent certain elements and part of in certain areas of life. But then you have people who actually were on earth that had physical bodies at one point that passed on, went to the spirit realm, and they go on to live in you and your collective unconscious. And you can invoke and activate these spirits or these souls and have them help you on your behalf. So that's the way you want to look at these things, and it depends on who you're dealing with, because people, when you pass on, you only take as much knowledge as you got from here. So if you're trying to call on your grandmother, who was a holified, sanctified Christian and don't know shit, it'll be hard for her to help you unless she got some type of quickening on the other side or something, because she still was stuck or trapped in that pseudo mentality. But I'm gonna tell you how you help them, because not only do they help you, you help them as well. When you become conscious of the fact that they're in you, and you live your life as if the ancestors are within you, whether it be your immediate family, Tupac, Aaliyah, Muhammad Ali, or whoever. When you become conscious of what I'm telling you, when you become conscious of the fact that they live within you, then the more you learn while you're here and studying, they're learning too, because they can see through you. So when you reading all these books and you getting all this new information, you ain't doing nothing but building them up. The more you build them up, the more they can help you down here. See how that works? So you want to look at it more so like that. And I'm telling you from first-hand experience. I'm not just a quack. I'm not, speaking of some type of quack or telling you something I heard from somebody else. Telling you from actual experiences that I've been experiencing personally. I could give you a Michael Jackson story that would demonstrate how he showed me something directly. But I will say that for another time. So with that being said, I just want to say keep going. And even if you don't fully take to what I'm telling you right now, keep it in mind at least. Keep it in the back of your mind. And continue on your path. I'm trying to make it an effort to not seem as if I'm coming at you with the hatchet and trying to just, and I'm not talking about nobody in particular, I'm just talking about, this collective of people, or these people, the people I've been seeing do this, or espouse this mentality. So, shit, man, if you're on the up and up, keep up the good work. But I just found that interesting. And I believe it more so towards the morphing thing. Because, and don't get me wrong, you do have agents out there spreading misinformation. I see that too. Some motherfuckers, I just be like, I know this motherfucker know better. But, all this, ancient alien, Anunnaki, slave driver race shit. I'm gonna get into all that. And that's not a shot at anybody in particular talking about that or speaking of like that. It's the mentality, or I'm speaking to the what I see as the falsehood within that dialogue. So, all right, let's see what's on the list. We'll go ahead and get into the draconian reptilian thing. Now I have to find this book. Damn, I hope I ain't lose the page, because I want to show y'all something about this whole reptilian draconian thing. Now, I spoke about this in one of my last, in the video I did around Halloween when I was talking about when I was dealing with the creation of the earth. The whole Dracula thing, the Dracula particle. Dracula is nothing more than melanin and light. The light within the melanin. You know, people are saying, for one, you got people saying that the draconian reptilians are the elite white people who run the world. First and foremost, white people are not even old enough to be considered draconian. If you read, go get Ancient Egypt, Light of the World. And it's funny because I just, you know, I was in here vibing last night, and I ran into a section in the book where they speak about the constellation Draco and the star Draco. Basically, what it was saying is Draco was a pole star. Back in more ancient times. Even the word draconian, you might hear, you may have heard a phrase where somebody say, "Oh, that's mighty draconian of you." Translation, that's mighty old school of you. If a nigga walking this motherfucker right now with some platforms on, bell bottoms, a vest with no shirt on under it, and a goddamn afro, I would say, "Goddamn, my nigga, you looking real draconian there, buddy." And that ain't even draconian. That ain't even old enough to really be considered draconian. When we say draconian, I'm just being funny, but when we say draconian, we're talking about ancient times. You know, when you say draconian, you're talking about black people, the melanin and the light, plus the pole star or whatever, and the constellation Dracos or whatever. Now, when you go into Dracula is not a vampire in the sense of, "Oh, I gotta suck your blood." No, we don't have to. See, the whole vampire thing is more so of white, not all, I'm not saying all white people are running around there drinking blood, but these quote unquote elite people or whatever you want to call them, they do this because they understand the importance of melanin and they know they don't have it. Therefore, they have to get it by body snatching and draining the blood of those who have the melanin, which is black people, discarding the body and doing whatever they do with the goddamn blood. We don't have to do that. When you speak about Dracula as it pertains to black people, you're talking about light and dark, masculine, feminine. Darkness, the whole sucking aspect of it comes from the darkness. Darkness, light gives off light. Darkness draws in or sucks in light. So, which was the part of the creation process. One part of the creation process of the earth was the feminine dark energy absorbing or sucking in light. Just like I was just telling you how we built this physical planet out of melanin, and then we ensouled, or our souls fell into these physical bodies, or these physical bodies drew our soul into them. It sucked the real blood, the spiritual blood, not the blood you bleed, but the spiritual blood, the divine wine. Dracula is a nocturnal being. When you look at all the old Dracula movies and all that stuff, what does Dracula do? He sleeps in a coffin and he comes out at night. The melanin is the coffin. What did they? Osiris is the Dracula. What did Osiris get put into when Set tricked him at the party? A box or a casket. Your physical body is the box or the casket. Your melanin is the box, the casket. The light within the melanin would be Dracula chilling inside of the nocturnal darkness, the box or whatever. That's the real thing, real deal with Dracula. So all this stuff about the the Draconians are putting the 5G poles up, and these people are not Draconians. Reptilians, the reptilian people are the Kundalini people, the snake people, which are black people. That's why the pharaoh wears the snake on his forehead in the Uraeus crown. It represents Kundalini energy raising up and striking the pineal gland. How does Dracula come out at night as it pertains to the physical makeup of the black man? When you raise your Kundalini energy up and it strikes the pineal gland, I know with me, cause I've been raising Kundalini energy since before I even knew what the fuck it was. When I was like 6 or 7 and shit. I guess I just remembered it from the last lifetime or whatever. Cause I used to be a little boy and I'd be playing and doing shit and running around. Sometimes I'd just stop and squeeze under my genitals and push up. And I feel this, the Kundalini would hit my pineal gland and I feel this warm tingling feeling all over my body. That means that the light that was inside that melanin laying dormant when I stroked the pineal gland, that light that was within the melanin came to the surface of the melanin within my body. And this is why when you do that, your physical body gives off a shiny aura. When you go out to the sun, when the sunlight hits your body, what happens? You start to tan. Why? Because melanin is coming to the surface to receive light, codes, and information from the sun. So it's a reverse. The outer light brings the melanin to the surface of your physical body, while within the body, the rising of the Kundalini energy brings the light within the melanin to the surface of the melanin within your physical body, causing you to give off this aurific glow. That's the draconian thing. The reptilian thing, when you're about the reptilian, I say it's the Kundalini energy, and it's a part of your brain called the reptilian brain. And I'm going to show you something real quick, just to kind of substantiate what I'm telling you. This is a book called How the Body Works. That's the brain right there. Now look at this. Look at that white part right there. That's the reptilian brain. Doesn't that look like, that's probably why they call it the reptilian brain, because doesn't that part right there look like some type of reptile, serpent type of lizard thing? Or am I bugging? So we can knock off all the, snakehead, the David Icke thing, because that's where a lot of this shit comes from. Zachariah Stitching and David Icke, and they would rather you think that there is something, some type of draconian reptilian snake race that's greater than you, coming to help you. Some people say they coming to harm you. Some people say they're helping you, when the whole while they point this way and tell you that all these things are outside of you, when in all actuality you are that. So if I know you God, and I know your God power is detrimental to me, if I can make you believe that God is something outside of you, then I can deal with you a little better. And that goes back to, that's another thing I want to touch on too. We got to get out of this habit of saying You know, because I see some people, they'll be dropping knowledge, and they'll be like, oh man, they gonna come get me. Them white folks gonna come get me. I'm dropping too much knowledge. No. This is a new day, for one. Now, you jiving and bullshitting, and you're not sincere about what you're doing, then you might have a potential problem. But this is not the era of people getting killed for speaking the truth. This is the information age. Even the goddamn white boy know. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I've been watching the news a little bit more often than I usually do, and shit. They even, you know, I know Trump came out with the fake news shit and blah blah. But hell, these motherfuckers are starting to tell the truth about shit too. So even they know that this peddling of falsehood has some type of goddamn boundary where it's like, hey, we gotta knock the bullshit off. Even they know. So if you're really sincere about this shit and you really are a chosen one or golden one or whatever we calling ourselves these days, the last thing you need to be worried about is some motherfucker coming to swoop you up. Because when you really rolling with some juice, the last thing they want to do is fuck with you. They might study you, because they always, that's one thing about these people. If you really working with something, they can't kill you or fuck you off if you really what you saying you are. And if you really what you saying you are, they'd rather have you around and study you and try to figure out how can they somehow benefit from studying your nigga ass. This is the rise of the go. This is not the era of, this is not, and no disrespect, to like Pac and Malcolm X, all the people that lost their lives in commission of awakening black people. But this is not the era of that. This is not the era of you getting killed for telling the truth. We passed that. Right? You should be more so worried about if motherfuckers on your job know you into this shit. Yeah, and even that shit. Even if you do lose your job because motherfuckers found out you got skulls and shit all in your house. you went to the groovy consciousness shit. Even that don't mean shit, because that just means that the spirit is, your path is taking you somewhere else. You just have to trust the process. I have to tell myself that shit sometimes too, because it can get rough sometimes. But as long as your comfort, even when times get rough and you going through your trials and tribulations, your comfort should come through the knowledge of you reading and looking at all this knowledge and actually seeing how it pertains to you. Because once you get on the frequency, when you start reading, you start seeing that you are this shit. And then you start thinking, then that's when you can come to the understanding of, you know what? All this shit that's happening is just a part of my path, and it'll get better. These are just things I have to go through right now. I might wrestle with it, fight eternal turmoil with myself or yourself, and I might not like some of the shit that happened, and it hurts sometimes, but it's all taking me to where I need to be. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. Just keep learning and doing what you're doing, and you don't have to always be so quick to get in front of a camera and speak about what you learn. Sometimes you have to let this information process, because you might read what you read, you might read and perceive it the way you might initially perceive it when you first read or study whatever you study it. You might perceive it one way, but it might be a little bit more deeper, or you might be missing something. So you want to let it process and try to see how it fits in with the rest of everything that you're doing So I'm not saying you don't get on camera, and cause I know we all get excited and learn stuff and want to share with people, and that's really what you're supposed to do. But sometimes you want to, just take your time. I've been, it took me years before I just started speaking. I build with brothers and my personal life, but I always been like that. Even before I even got into all this information, when I was just a regular, I guess, Christian or whatever, I always had a conscious mentality. So I always been the type to be, in the beginning it was just about the ills of the world and, oh, they doing this, and I was always able to see things. But when I went to jail and finally found out who I was and that we the gods and this, that, and the third, then I came home, I seen the YouTube thing going off. It still took me time. I came home in 2010, but I didn't get in front of the camera and start speaking till really 2017. I tried 2016, I tried to do me and my homeboy, we tried to do a video breaking down Christmas, which I ended up doing in 2017. But when we was trying to do it in 2016, we didn't have no camera. We was trying to do it off the phone, and nobody had enough memory in their phone. So, but I really started speaking in 2017. So, give your time to learn and sit with the information and let it digest. So when you step out and speak, you can really speak from a place of knowing. So yeah, that's the thing with the draconian and reptilian thing. You know what I'm saying? Now I guess we'll talk about this whole spaceship thing and these aliens coming to do whatever they supposed to do, whatever niggas say they supposed to do. First and foremost, let's go back to where it all started. The first person to my knowledge to speak on spaceships was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Peace be upon his name. You had that, then you fast forward a couple of decades later, you had the beginning of the conscious awakening. And in the beginning, it was more of a historical thing. People like Dr. Ben and John Henry Clark. They was like two of the foremost historians. And this was us in the beginning stage, finding out, oh, we was really the Egyptians. We was the pyramid builders. And those people on the wall looked like us. And our nose was just the same as them. And that was the beginning, Everybody had on their finest kente cloth and was having at it. Locking their heads up and doing the do. But then you had, going into the early 90s, you had people like Bobby Hemmett. Now, he was one of the first people to start, or he was the one who, at a time where within this beginning of conscious awakening, the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad was kind of taboo. And I'm saying this based off of things I done heard Bobby say out his own mouth. Because when them niggas was kicking this shit off, I was 8, 9 and shit, just running around eating ice cream and shit. But studying his videos, it'll be certain videos where he speak on how people within that era of time or that era of consciousness was looking down. Everybody was so Dr. Ben and John Henry Clark that they would shun or look at what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying as quackery or whatever. And he was the one really leaning heavy on the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which brings you back to the spaceships. Now, at first, even Bobby was like, the spaceships, you know, the spaceship is coming. But then if you study his work, the more and more he progressed, it got to the point where it went from, ain't no fucking spaceships coming. We are the spaceships. So what you have right there is somebody who had a sense of trial and error, who didn't have a problem with saying, you know what, I thought there was some physical spaceships coming back too at one point. But the more and more I studied, the more and more I started to realize that that ain't the case. And the real deal is that we are the spaceships. And I do you one better. The mothership that everybody said was supposed to return was called what? The Neb-Haru. The Nibiru, which comes from Neb-Haru. The Neb-Haru, the teachings of the Neb-Haru coming back was not some spaceship landing on Earth for niggas to jump into. The Neb-Haru was talking about yours truly. Neb means Lord, Haru is hero or Horus, the Christ. I am the Neb-Haru. But guess what the good news is? Me in particular, I might be the individual Christ to come back or to pop up on the scene. But everybody that is partaking of this conscious information on the up and up, they are also the Christ. So you have me, then you have the collective whole, which are called joint heirs of the Christ. So we all are of the cosmic consciousness. The mothership, Earth itself, is the mothership. If you go look at all the videos I dropped previous to this one, breaking down the creation of the Earth, if you look at the imagery that I'm using, it looks like a spaceship. Earth is the spaceship. It's not that we were waiting for a spaceship to come. We are already in a spaceship that is floating and is turning a circle around the sun in space. So, I remember one video where he always talked about it in many different videos, but there's one time in particular where if you listen to his enough of his lectures, you'll bump into some lectures where he talk about a spaceship following him in the sky. They used to follow him around, but he would tell you it's not a physical UFO. The physical shit that you see on TV and on camera or whatever. The physical UFOs, that's government shit. The real UFOs are spiritual UFOs. Now, he tells a story about how he was doing a lecture and he was telling people in the lecture about the spaceship. And I'm not sure, I think somebody challenged him in the audience or something like that or whatever. Because however it happened, he said, all right, at the end of the night, when the lecture over, we're going to go outside and the spaceship is going to pull up. So the lecture was over. He said everybody went outside and the goddamn spaceship or the ship came over the building or whatever, or they could see it in the sky. They said they got it on camera and everything. They say motherfucker was like, damn. And Bobby was like, you know, he didn't know if it was going to show up or not that night in particular. So he was like, shit, man. I'm glad the motherfucker showed up, because that could have ended my career. Niggas would have been talking about me everywhere around. That nigga say niggas would have made, he say, you know, because this was in New York where they actually had captured the spaceship with us. So he was like, them motherfuckers, niggas would have been making rap songs about my ass and shit. Woo. But, so, the point I'm trying to make is this, you may see some spiritual, you see some more of a spiritual shit. It may I didn't see the actual video footage of how the ship that he was talking about looked. But I imagine that it probably looked like a traveling star, a moving star. I was just so happy to be grateful enough to catch Sirius back in 2016. With Sirius it's always in the sky. It rises in the middle of the summer. I think like June 21st or somewhere between June 21st and July. When I caught it, it was like in July. But it rises in the west at night. When the sun goes down, it comes up in the west and it travels to the east. And then when the sun raises up, the splendor of the sun, just like it does with all other stars, washes out and you don't see it no more till the next night or whatever. So when summertime roll around, when the sun go down in the west, look over there and look for the brightest star you can see. Anywhere between, for sure in July, but it might be a little earlier than that. But not only did when I went out, and I think I'm gonna do a video on this one day where I just speak on this topic. I don't want to take too much time on with it, but when I caught it, it was random. I was outside one night, and it's a good thing. I had just lost my job. Like that was like in the summer. I lost my job that April. I'll show you how spirit worked. If I would have still had my job, I wouldn't have been, because I caught it late at night. If I still would have had my job, I'd have been at home in the house, sleep, getting ready for work the next morning. But it just so happened I was outside and I looked in the western sky. See how much time I got right now. Alright, we got about 13 minutes left, so I'll pick back up in the next video, but I'll finish this story out. I looked in the western sky and we must have been the closest we could possibly be to Sirius in 2016, because when I say the way this star was glowing and flashing all these different colors, it was the first time I ever seen something like that ever. I'm like, man, what the hell is that? And I'm looking, I'm like, that must be Sirius. And I said, well, yeah, Sirius rises in the west. That's the west. This motherfucker is shining brighter than any. I've never seen a star shine like that. I got the shit on camera too. I got it on my Instagram page, but my phone, because I caught it, of course I had a Samsung, and this motherfucker, the camera on this motherfucker was bad. Because when I started recording it, it was like I was looking through a goddamn microscope. So I'm looking at this shit, and if you read Serious Mystery, it's a part in there where they talk about it's like a folk tale or something like that, where they talk about this guy who seen the star Sirius, and he was like it was just heavy on me. I couldn't get it off me. And what that meant was, because I went through it, what that meant was this shit was so beautiful. I don't know how to call it. This star was so beautiful. I was stuck. I stayed out there all night till the sun came up, watching this star travel from the western sky to the eastern sky. And when it got in the northern part of the sky, that's when the real magic popped out. That's when I really knew what was going on. Which is, you have Sirius A, which is the star that was shining and showing all the colors. And then you have Sirius B, which revolves around Sirius A. Sirius B is a dark black star. It's a dense dwarf star. It circles around Sirius A. It makes a full revolution around Sirius A every 50 years. So I'm following the star, And when it got to the northern sky, I noticed that the colors was flickering, but it seemed like I couldn't see Sirius B yet. But it seemed like after a minute, it seemed like something was pulling on the star. Like it was like something was sucking on the star, sucking the colors like to the north. So it was like in the sky right here. So we just say this is Sirius A. It was something sucking from this side, sucking the light. So I'm like, damn, what's going on? So yeah, because I was off and on recording. I recorded it when I first seen it. Then I stopped and just looked at it for a minute. Then it was so beautiful, I record some more. And I just so happened to catch this part right when I started seeing the sucking. I think that's when or the pulling. I think that's when I pulled the camera back out and I started recording again. And I lost that damn phone, but I'm glad that I screenshotted some shit, printed out I screenshotted some shit and posted it on my Instagram page. And then I got a video where I'm rapping it, one half of the video, and then the second half, I'm showing Sirius again, but this time, this is a couple days after the first day, probably a week or two or a little later afterwards. But back to the initial day, I'm seeing that pulling, then all of a sudden I start seeing a darkness overlapping the Sirius A. And as it was overlapping, it was like it was going from flashing colors, it'll flash colors, and then Sirius A would it'll turn all white. And you'll see the Sirius B pulling on it. And then eventually I start to see Sirius A. Sirius A got to the point where I saw it gradually moving towards the middle. I saw Sirius B gradually moving towards the center of Sirius A. Till it eventually was right in the center, and you had Sirius A, which was now a white light, with Sirius B sitting in the middle of it. So it was like a white light with a dark star, dark hole. It looked like a pinhole, or it looked like the eye of a needle. And that's when it hit me. I was like, man, that's Sirius B. Sirius A, because I know the science, Sirius A is, the star, and then Sirius B is the dark star that revolves around it. So I say, well, shit. This, I say it takes Sirius B 50 years to make a full revolution around Sirius A. I said, this is some major shit right here. Because what I'm looking at right now, what's happening right now, this won't happen again until 2066. It sat in the middle for a minute. See, I had that all on camera, but I lost the phone that I recorded it on. So now all I got is the video. I said the one I got with it paired with the one I'm rapping on, and then I got the actual screenshots. But the screenshots, I have the screenshots where you can see Sirius B. I got it coming from the side, few snaps of it coming from the side where you can see it, pull it from the side. Then I got the shots where it's sitting right in the center of Sirius A. Now I don't think that's what Bobby saw, because Bobby said when they came out, the ship came, made his presence known, and then he said it pulled off and disappeared or whatever. Now I don't think it was Sirius, because Sirius is gonna stay in the sky. It has a orbit or whatever, or we orbiting around it. So it's gonna rise in the west, go all the way to the east, and then when the sun rays up, it's gonna disappear from sight. So I said all that to say is, I just want to tell a Sirius story. I said that because it was an answer to my own question. Because I was like, damn, well maybe he saw Sirius, and I said, nah, this was something different. This had to be some type of soul or some type of spirit, because Sirius A wouldn't just disappear like that. Once you see Sirius A rise in the sky, you see Sirius gonna rise and go on this route or whatever. So I said that to say, when you see those, you see people talking about UFOs, and it's not a physical thing, you know. And when I was looking at Sirius in the sky, I was like, and ain't nobody talking about this shit. I ain't, not to my knowledge, I ain't seen it on the news. The shit was so beautiful. I was like, how could, I'm like, am I the only one seeing it before Sirius B even started overlapping and pulling on it, when it was just rising in the west and it was just glowing, was so bright. I was like, wow, look at this. I couldn't stop looking at it. I stayed out there all night until the sun came up. Periodically record here and there and just looking at it. I was like, damn. And that will only, and I caught something that would only happen, that only happens every 50 years. So I guess you could take that story, and when I tell you it behooves you, and you gotta take my word on everything I say, go do the research on your own. That's why I give out books and shit too. But I am an authoritative speaker when it comes to this conscious shit. And you know, just like I was saying with Bobby, the trial and everything. You know, 9 times out of 10, when I say some shit, I'm on point. And if I ain't sure and I'm speculating, I'll let that be known. And if I'm ever wrong about something, I have no, if you can show me that I'm out of pocket or out of bounds, I have no problem saying, you know what, that's right. Or factoring it in and saying, you know what, you know, I'm not the type of guy that for the sake of ego, be like, man, it's a whole lot of evidence saying this shit is wrong, but I've been saying this for so long, I don't want to look like an asshole or look stupid. So I'm just going to ignore that and keep pushing this. Nah, that's not what scientists do. Scientists deal with the information that's come. You know, sometimes you have to detach from something when you're presented with the proper information and it contradicts. And sometimes you can reconcile contradictions, which I want to speak on, and I'll probably start that on the next video because I ain't got that much time right now. But yeah, I was saying that I would say, ain't no goddamn space spin coming to save nobody. This shit is all about us here. People talking about different planets and going to Mars. All that shit, all the planets were created where we at right now and shot out into what we call the universe or whatever. Planet Earth is ground zero. Everything started here. It's not no Martians over here that's more superior and technologically superior than the Earth, and they come in the Earth to trap us, and that's folly. Because even you go and look at some of Bobby videos, he'll even tell you, them motherfuckers, anybody anywhere else outside of Earth understand that God is the black man and the black woman on Earth, and we are the goddamn highest of the high, if there is anything out there, because everything came from here. Like I said, go look at my last installation of videos before this one, and you will see the 7 Ali spirits, the I'm Kemen with the 8 at the top, which is Sirius. Those are where the planets come from. The 7 planets come from, along with the 8, which is the top, or the lead, which would be Sirius or whatever. But all those things came from here. You don't go to these places physically. So when a motherfucker is telling you they went to the, all these motherfuckers talking about they going to the moon, and that's bullshit. Let me cut this off real quick.